Hey everybody, welcome to Everything Accounting. I'm Alfred, your friendly neighborhood CPA, and today I want to do a little bit of a PSA, public service announcement, if you will. Obviously, there is a lot of tax advice and accounting advice and everything on the internet, on TikTok, Instagram, all that. Everyone's telling you how to manage and mitigate your money. Everyone's talking about how to minimize your taxes, how to not pay taxes. I need to just get this off my chest here. I have been obviously a CPA for 10 years. I have been a tax specialist for the exact same amount of time. And there's no such thing as not paying taxes in Canada and the US. It's not a thing. It is a very rare circumstance if you are a not-for-profit organization and you have to follow a key list of criteria to meet those requirements, or a charity. As a business owner, there's no such thing as not paying taxes unless you are losing money year over year over year. As an example, I heard the other day a TikToker getting interviewed by another TikToker, and they were saying, yeah, I don't pay any taxes. I made $7 million last year, and I didn't pay any tax on that money. And then they go on to say, I just take my profits and put them into assets to then use that to bring in more income. And it's just constantly this ebb and flow. And I'm constantly using sales and using my income to then buy other things, to then use the income off of that. That's not how taxes work. It's infuriating to me when I see these things because it makes absolutely no sense. Again, myself, running a business, I make income in the year, and then say, let's use an example here, say I made $100,000 in income. Or, using their example, I made $7 million in income. And then I go and take the $7 million and go buy a plane, or a house, or a bunch of rental properties, or anything to do with assets, the government is still going to see on your books that you earned $7 million in income, and you're going to pay tax on that. There's no question about it, because assets are a different class than income. If I'm going to buy an asset to then use that asset to bring in more income, I'm going to get taxed on the income that's coming in from that asset. I'm also going to get taxed on the sale of that asset when it comes time to selling it for a profit. The government will take its taxes. Now, the job of a tax specialist is to manage, mitigate, and minimize your tax implication. But whenever I hear these TikTokers that spit a very big game of I don't pay taxes and I'm a millionaire, or I'm a quote unquote billionaire because of all these things that I do, there's no validation, there's no proof other than they have big egos and they talk a big game. And you'll find, especially with the last video that I saw, they talk really fast and spew tax code knowledge very quickly. The problem with that is that they're just throwing out words and makes it seem like they understand what they're talking about. For reference, in Canada, the CRA tax handbook is over 30,000 pages of detailed information. And in those pages, there's adjustments, redactments, there is revisions, there's objections, there's a ton of information, to the point where even employees at CRA have a handbook for the handbook. So now you're telling me that this random Joe Schmo on the internet with 100,000 followers has memorized these 30,000 pages? I promise you they haven't. I promise you. I want them to prove it to me. Because even myself, who works in tax day in, day out, hasn't memorized that. You still have to refresh. You still have to research. You still have to look things up to understand what the new regulations are, because every year the regulations either change or are updated. So there's constant upgrading, there's constant new information. You can't possibly just memorize everything and you're like, hey, I'm good. I know everything about tax. That's not how it works, right? There's not even the best accountant in the world, the best tax lawyer, tax accountant in the world has not memorized the tax laws, has not memorized the tax handbooks. There's always new information. There's always something to refresh yourself. There's always something to guarantee. The reason I bring this up is just in the simplest terms, if it's too good to be true, then it's probably not true. If I come on here and tell you, hey, I'm a tax expert and I'm telling you, you don't have to pay taxes, question me. I want you to question me. I want you to be like, hey, this doesn't make sense. I'm happy to explain it. And I'm more than happy to admit if and when I'm wrong. But if someone tells you there is a way to not pay any taxes whatsoever, that is way too good to be true. So what I start to think of is, okay, what are they benefiting on the back end? If they're lying to you as the public and telling you, hey, here is the tax rule, or here is a way to not pay any taxes, or here's a way to take your income and putting into assets and then not pay taxes on your income, then my thought will always go to, and I hope your thoughts always go to, okay, but why are they saying this? Because there's no way that this makes sense. Usually it's they have a business to sell. They have a class to sell. They have a book that they're trying to sell. They have a deal with X, Y, and Z business brokers. And they're like, let me get into your business and I'll help you manage everything and I'll help you pay no taxes. There's so many little things on the back end. And unfortunately, when we only believe and only agree on what's on the face value or the videos that we see, it ends up being misinformation that gets passed on as fact. So I, obviously, year over year, when I'm doing people's personal taxes, there's always one person. There's always one person like, hey, so how can I not pay taxes this year? And I'm like, don't earn money. Like that's as simple as it is. You don't want to pay tax, don't make money. That's where we're at, right? So obviously there are plans and rules that can minimize the amount of tax that you pay, but it doesn't mean that you're not going to pay anything. You can't pay zero unless you are not making, literally, unless you're not making money or you're losing money. Those are the only two options. That's it. It's that simple. At least in Canada, to specify, even in the US, knowing accountants in the US, I know that that is not anywhere near the truth. So again, just a quick PSA here. Just please do me a favor and fact check people. That's all I'm asking for. I'm just wanting people to be aware that there is a lot of misinformation out there. There's a lot of times where people will question and people will be concerned, or people will lie to you on the internet and you're just like, hey, I believe them because this is what I want to hear. But unfortunately, what you want to hear is not always what you need to hear. So this is, again, why I'm just making this video here. I just really, really want everyone to fact check. And I'm starting with me. Fact check me on all my videos, all the information that I provide you. If you ask me for tax advice, the amount of times I'm like, hey, here's what I know, but if there's an update, I will let you know. If there's a change, I will let you know. If what I said is no longer factual, I will let you know. So I'm already actively correcting myself. So when it comes down to it, again, you have to believe that not everything is sunshine and rainbows for these millionaires or billionaires on the web. There are ways that, for instance, tax specialists will set up these billionaires to not pay taxes. But the reason, let's use Elon or let's use Bezos or Mark Zuckerberg, how they're billionaires and they essentially pay no taxes is because the shares that they hold in the companies are worth billions, but they haven't sold it. So there's no gain. There's no income that's been earned on those shares. The only income they're bringing in is their salary, and usually they set their salary at something insane like $80,000 or $100,000 to pay like minimum taxes. And then what they do is they go to the bank and they'll say, hey, If they take a loan out on their shares knowing that it'll go up, then obviously the value tends to increase. And then they have a loan that they have to eventually repay, but they offset it by the value of their shares. That's why if a company were to go bankrupt for whatever reason and that business owner has shares on that loan, now the loan comes due. And now they have to pay that for money that they don't have. So it's an intricate structure. It is a difficult structure to get into, and it's an intricate structure that not everyone has the ability to do. So when people, again, just clarifying here, when people go out and say, hey, you, average Joe that's working an employee position job, you don't have to pay taxes. That's anarchy. That's not real. That's not real life. There has to be structures in place. There has to be an understanding of what's going on. And again, all I'm saying about all of this is if you don't fully understand what's going on and it seems too good to be true, it's most likely not true. So just fact check. Anyways, this has been a PSA from your friendly neighborhood CPA, Alfred at Everything Accounting. If you want to fact check me on this video, go for it. I'm here to listen. I'm here to answer any questions that you may have. Just, do your own research. That's all I ask. Research yourself, get a better understanding yourself. And if you don't know what to look into, ask people that you trust wholeheartedly to get the information. That's all. Anyways, have a good day. Thanks again for watching, and we'll talk soon.